Alright, with all that death and destruction behind us, at least for the time being, we need to confront the Lord of the Lycans.
Good job, Tio. Killed
First of all, however, we're having another filler-like level, mostly to test our new toy we just acquired.
You know, the way the music cut out, I thought the part was buffering.
No, thankfully this is not an occasion where, I guess because I'm having it on disc, but I get the idea that this is the one case where the autosave does not fuck up with the audio sync, which is fine by me.
Child for centuries, loved her dearly, and there was no
you can replay chapters, right?
Yes, like I mentioned a couple of times, you can redo it at any point, any way you like. Customize your difficulty, decide to go after the challenge, backtrack using your new skills to get the trinkets that you missed.
A dark force has taken hold.
Now, all this game needs is a ranking system for it to be complete.
Okay, no, I actually don't get it, but completing the challenge kind of counts a bit, and also it gets check mark depending on what difficulty you did. Like I said, even the harder difficulties are still manageable, especially if you maxed out. So a good start. Hold on. This piece of Agarthian Magesmith technology was not originally part of the design of the Black Knight Golem, but was somehow magically melded with the construct during the final stage of its creation. Claudia's father included it because of the sheer power and brute force that he gave the golem, and he deemed it necessary in order to protect his beloved child. But in truth, it has a much darker purpose.
I mean, it can't be all that strong if you found a piece of it lying around.
I mean, foreshadowing.
No, we literally got it from the golem.
These crystalline formations are the result of a phenomenon that occurs in zone with a high concentration of shadow energy. In these places, the land impregnated with magic erupts, abruptly creating the characteristic geo-like patterns. The crystals are pure shadow magic, and so they're much more volatile and dangerous than the gem from medallions. They are so powerful that just one full crystal can be used to summon a demon from the shadow realms. Also, something divide their people in two halves, I guess.
Don't worry, guys. All we have to do is believe in the heart of the sword.
Okay, here's how the gauntlet works. You position yourself to obstacles that might, there you go, with I think L2, and then press square or like hold it in order to charge, there you go, like that. A strike. However, sometimes it's not just enough. Sometimes, in order to actually propel an obstacle with much more strength, we need to activate the shadow magic to boot. Unfortunately, we start the level without shadow magic on purpose, so we can go collect it. There you go, from an external source.
Okay, Robert, we need to record the grunt for when you're winding up to prod something. Imagine you're taking a huge shit at the toilet.
I mean, Dribs, you should listen to the out of context, like death grunts, pain and death grunts from the character selection voices from the Dark Souls games. They are quite the thing to listen to. Still, Lord Carlyle is genuinely interesting to hear in terms of voices, so I'm fine either way.
When did this game come out again, sorry?
2010.
I think was that the same year, Jova, was that the same year Once Upon a Time came out?
What year? 2011?
2010.
I think that may be it.
Well, let me check again just to be sure, because it might have been...
No.
2011.
It was 2011. So a year off.
Yes, there you go. October 5th, 2010. Close to a Halloween release. There we go.
How fitting.
Like I said, this is more of a, filler level that tutorialize a bit about the gauntlet, but otherwise it will also give you like an extra item, and after that we actually get to confront the Lord of the Lycans.
Because so far, there's quite a lot of lore to try and pay attention to, but all the stuff going on involving in this story involving a character played by Robert Carlyle is a lot more interesting than the Bond film he was in.
It was in a 007 movie?
Yes.
The World Is Not Enough. He played one of the villains.
Oof, I actually forgot about that.
Oh, Tio, there's a good reason for that. That film is so bloody boring.
Bad.
What movie?
Bad?
The World Is Not Enough.
Is it bad as well?
Is that a Square Enix RPG?
No.
No, it's a Bond movie.
No. Square Enix RPGs are not
Alright,
boring.
Leaves, while you're at it, your next scroll.
Dibs,
Okay.
sorry, go ahead.
This crumbling civilization is a testament to man's greatest ingenuity. I am saddened that all of the secrets that reside here will soon be lost, like me. Many of them sunk beneath the paralytic ocean. The Dark Lord's influence is strong here, and wargs, werewolves, and Lycan roam every corner of this land. I have to move quickly and carefully, careful not to be spotted by coughing men. I have found nothing regarding the spell that has cut our world from the...
Actually, I'm about to scroll.
But one thing is becoming clear to me with each passing day. I and the Lords of Shadow must die.
Well, something like that happened. Moving on.
Yeah, he died. Okay, but wait, put it this way: when the best part of your movie is the opening title sequence,
Dang.
something's up.
bad.
Oh, so Quantum of Solace.
Deji, okay, Deji, I would agree with you there if I could tell what the hell was happening with that sequence.
So let me guess, Dibs, whereas you find the world is not enough boring, you find Quantum of Solace just bad.
Quantum of Solace is just painful.
Solace is the worst
Yeah.
movie I've seen.
I mean that's the thing. It's the shortest one, but it's still shit.
Seriously, like
Nothing
that
happened.
movie is.
Jova, let me
Yeah.
explain that movie. Nothing happened.
No.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
106 minutes. It's a direct sequel to Casino Royale, and yet not only does nothing happen, but some parts of Casino Royale get flat out undermined by Quantum of Solace. And regardless of what you think of Casino Royale, I'm sure even Pedro could agree undermining a previous movie with something even shittier is.
Oh no, you already
It's like-
know the I don't like that kind of thing by principle, Dibs. So yeah.
Okay,
So it's
like
Quantum of... Oh, go on.
I
Tim.
mentioned, that I actually forgot that night was there, so I could not get the scroll. But not to worry, I will actually get it in the extra part, because again, this is one scroll where they use a very, very painful reference, so I'll let you enjoy it more properly when the time comes, so just stay tuned for it. Here instead is mostly just to use to get introduced to a new collectible, but in the meantime, go on, Jova.
So if I understand Dibs and Pedro, it's like the idea of Quantum of Solace is like, is it in a movie where essentially not only is nothing accomplished, but like a previous film's
Yes.
Deep Star suddenly taken away?
Yes, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, put it this way. The point of Casino Royale was to show Bond becoming Bond, whereas the Quantum of Solace is just doing that all over again.
No.
Are those like the newer era Bond films?
Yeah, the one with Daniel Craig.
Yeah, they are
And
great.
Quantum of Solace came out in
So he got
2008.
So what you're telling me is that Daniel Craig had a pretty rough start as Bond. It sounds
Just-
like.
No,
Anyway,
I
here's
liked... No. Casino Royale's a really good movie. Quantum of Solace just fucked everything up.
Sure.
Here's our new item work. Well, not item, but a type of secondary item that we can use. Fairies. They can distract the enemy, properly stuff like Lycans, and we can actually use that to our advantage to, defeat a dizzied enemy. There we go.
Thanks, Tink.
That's very generous of you.
Ah, nice. I am sure all the
Thank
all
you,
the
little
people are
naked
doing-
women.
The
You
one
were very
gimmick
helpful.
The one gimmick of this dungeon is you need to collect a bit more fairies in order to open some of the doors, since we act as a catalyst to it.
Yeah, fairies are weird in this universe. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they're supernatural, yet they feel so just there in this particular universe. That's like, that's a thing.
It's similar to Pan, like a pagan stuff of Europe that's been forgotten. Fairies are a race of mystical beings that have been driven into hiding by the spread of mankind and civilization. Sometimes called the Sidhe, I guess that's Celtic. They dwell in forests and meadows, hiding amongst the flowers and blossoms there. Fairies are born of the soil and take the form of beautiful flowers before emerging as fully grown creatures. According to legend, the fairy queen, Titania, sometimes bestows mortal with the care and protection of a fairy folk.
just to bring it back to
Yeah, go
my
ahead,
original
Louisa.
point a bit earlier. World is Not Enough is a pretty decent premise, but it's marred by really slow pacing bland characters and one of the worst Bond girls you'll ever see in a movie.
Yeah, to add to what Wes was saying as well.
Denise Richards she can't act.
To add,
Is that the main antagonist who keeps saying, "You won't kill me, you love me"?
No, that's the other one.
yeah, that's the other one.
Other one, whatever that means.
To add to what, oh yeah, failed your gem medallion. There you go.
Like I said, go on, Pedro.
To add to what Wes was saying, no, Joe, but like most people, not me, but most people like Casino Royale 2006, so you probably will enjoy that as well. I don't like it because I feel like it went from one extreme to the other extreme. I feel like that movie tries way too hard to be dark and gritty without having the character and thematic depth to really back that up. Because the story, when you get right down to it, the story of Casino Royale is very basic, and there's not that much in terms of big character development, aside from Bond becoming the Bond we know because because he had a woman die in his arms.
I get the idea that one reason people might like Casino Royale 2006 is just how Mads Mikkelsen manages to be so charismatic.
Sure.
Might be that.
My problem.
I also thought it was because what was the previous movie? Die Another Day.
Die Another Day. Yes.
That was terrible. Holy crap.
It's more so the fact that there's literally a torture scene where Bond is practically naked and being whipped and everything, and the scene is played completely dark and serious.
Who got directed? Mel Gibson.
It feels it's one of those cases where I don't know, like, okay, you want to have a more dark, serious, and gritty Bond movie. Okay, I'm open to that, but when you actually, at least in my opinion, when you get the actual plot that they have doesn't really justify that tone, in my opinion, because the plot is very surface level when you actually take a good objective look at it. The movie acts dark and gritty and important, but to me, it feels a bit insecure of itself, to be honest with you. But again, I'm not gonna.
I'm
To
guessing
me, it's
even as somebody who doesn't like Casino Royale, you probably still did not like Quantum of Solace.
No, Quantum of Solace is still a worse movie, if anything, because Casino Royale at the very least is at the very least coherent, unlike Quantum of Solace. So, no, to me, it's in Skyfall. To me, it's in Skyfall that Daniel Craig truly came into its own. Skyfall is, in my opinion, the best Bond movie ever made.
Yes.
Skyfall is fantastic. It's the perfect balance, Joe. It has a serious story that you can easily take serious, but at the same time, it doesn't shy away from having more lighthearted stuff that we all know from Bond, like gadgets and more elaborate, fun set pieces, action set pieces.
See, that was my problem with the Craig movies. Like, why are you so afraid of showing off the gadget?
Well, the thing is, that's the thing, Deji. Starting with the Daniel Craig era, the filmmakers wanted to try to be more faithful to the books. Because the books were much more serious and gritty in comparison to the movies we've had pre-Casino Royale.
That's the same book where James Bond had sex with a woman who was gay, and after having sex,
we actually went there with GoldenEye, with Goldfinger.
Don't worry, we already addressed that.
No, it's not just that. We most of us discovered in detail form actually after we commented on the movie. But yeah, you might as well just stick to the movies because for how baffling that may be, those are actually the progressive part of the franchise.
No, the movie.
that movie without me. Come on.
It's more so the movie. It's more so that the movie accidentally escaped the elephant in the room, basically.
Not only that, but apparently the book can be quite a chore to read because it's one of those books that describes every single detail. And yeah, I know what. I know what you may be thinking. Well, obviously books need to describe a lot more, but no. I mean to the point where they'll tell you, oh, the car was moving at 50 meters per hour, then 60, then 70, and so on and so forth.
It's borders on unnecessary and way too neurotic for its own good.
It is present a bit in the older movies, as Glibs also pointed out, but it's still considerably much more toned down.
I remember Dwebs was telling me that Goldfinger, they changed the main villain's plot from the book because it didn't make any sense.
Yes.
They even flat out. They even in the film even state how the original plot in the book didn't make any sense.
To me, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
One thing that's fascinating to me about, say, the bad Bond movies, is that there's all different kinds of bad.
whether they be the official films or the ones not official because of all the copyright bullshit. There was the bad funny ones where like Casino Royale in 1967, where it tried to be a spoof of Bond films, but A, had no idea what the hell they wanted to spoof half the time, and more seriously, B, wasn't funny.
Why would you have a franchise spoof itself anyway?
There was the sad kind of bad, like A View to a Kill, where despite Christopher Walken, we just couldn't escape the fact that by 1985 Roger Moore was so too old to play the part, they had to age up the henchmen so that they could have a better, he could conceivably beat them in a fight. There's the boring kind of bad, like The World Is Not Enough that I mentioned earlier. And then there's the stupid bad, like Die Another Day.
Now let me read this. It's a scroll with a puzzle. I discovered some inscription on these old walls. They must be related to the magic runes down below. The blue rune only has one neighbor. There is a red rune with a blue one on the left of it. Classic type of puzzle. 3 slots, you give a vague indication on where a blue and a red might be. You have to actually, put the corresponding magic on it. Again, This one is relatively easy, especially if you are, know these kind of puzzles. Later on, there will be a variant that's much more difficult.
As you may have noticed on the book, you can choose to have a solution be unlocked for you, but you lose the reward.
Yeah, like I mentioned, all puzzles fall into that kind of category, which, again, I get what Mercury's team was trying to do, but I don't know. I do believe there could have been a better solution to do is like have the players fail a couple of times and then suggest, similar to also in games, if you die too many times, will suggest you easy mode or something. I don't know.
Like I said, Teo, I choose to look at it as an accessibility setting. It probably wasn't made with that intention, but it does work out in that way, I will argue.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
There we go. 2 and 3.
Hey, Gabriel, the colors should feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
The choir seems to agree.
Remember, Joe, every time we solve a puzzle or we augment our magic or elf, the soundtrack basically has an orgasm, so...
Basically, Jova, to me, Skyfall, the reason I love Skyfall so much is because it does one thing that I so rarely see media doing, realizing, we don't have to go from one extreme to the other. We can actually, find a middle ground. Crazy thought, right? Where they did exactly what I've always wanted them to do. Find a good middle ground between the grittiness of the books and the more campy, fun aspects of the movies that we've gotten for a long time. Skyfall has a lot of good humor in it, a lot of great epic action pieces like the ones we do in a lot of movies, but at the same time it always
great.
The villain is great. It also has but it also has a good dramatic storyline that is perfectly easy to take serious, and it works really well. That's how
the final third of Skyfall is kind of like the best Home Alone movie we've got since the second one.
No, to me,
hey, Home Alone 3 was good.
That's one of the big reasons. Sorry.
Go on, Pedro.
That's one of the big reasons why I appreciate that movie so much. Oh my! It's so rare to see media creators think, we don't have to go from one extreme to the other extreme. We can find a middle ground. Who would have thought?
Sad to see
Joe, before you continue, I just want to say, I was told like the reason why 007 wants to be more grounded was because of Austin Powers. So it's like,
I think you told us.
Like I said, the reason the Daniel Craig era went in a different direction is because they wanted to be more faithful to the books.
And again, Austin Powers.
It's not even that. Again, it was pretty clear that MGM was just trying to experiment in order to, trying to be, again, stay relevant with the IP.
To answer your question, Jova, following Skyfall was Spectre, which caused quite the divide amongst the fandom. Some people considered it a fun movie that's a nice homage to the earlier movies in terms of bringing back Spectre and all the different kinds of stuff. Others consider it one of if not the worst Bond film in the series.
Which me and Dwebs utterly disagree with. There are far worse Bond movies.
Yeah, I mentioned this.
I heard Moonraker's bad.
I mentioned this all commentary. I don't like the twists involved in Spectre, but it's clearly not the worst Bond movie ever made.
And not
Sean Connery was the bad guy all along.
Without spoiling it, because I haven't seen it, it's the twist is it's me, Austin. It was me all along.
No,
like
actually,
it was like I was behind everything.
Okay, no, Dej, you have to think Star Wars instead.
Yes.
Palpatine returned.
Oh my God, Spectre is Bond's father, isn't he?
Okay, you're thinking on the right track, but I'm not saying anything anymore.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry.
Wait, hold on. I'll post it. I think I know exactly what it is.
I'm leaning towards the reason why Skyfall also manages to be a fan favorite of many is also because followed up Quantum of Solace, which is considered by many the worst. So again, it also felt a breath of fresh air. What I argue is that it basically plays on easy mode because it's basically the plot of The Dark Knight, but that in itself is not really that much of a problem.
Now with another thing that I really like about Spectre, it has Batista in it as basically an odd job spiritual successor type of opponent, which is a really cool throwback to me at least. I mean, Odd Job is one of my favorite Bond adversaries, so it was a nice thing. It was a nice thought to.
He's more iconic than Goldfinger himself.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a reason for that. I mean, like he's so memorable in the, but
and he's banned in competitive multiplayer.
Yeah, so I actually really like that angle. It has problems, don't get me wrong, but I mean, people hate on that movie way too much. It's kind of like with what they do with it's kind of like how a lot of Trekkies hate on Star Trek 2009 and Star Trek Beyond. Don't get me wrong, I will allow that for Into the Darkness. Into the Darkness is crap. But how they talk about how Star Trek 09 and Star Trek Beyond are such terrible Star Wars movies, even though we have shit like Insurrection and Star Trek 6.
Okay, Pedro.
Wait.
Star Trek 6 was one of the good ones.
I don't know. I didn't like it.
One of the good ones.
Fine. I'll give you that. Like,
isn't 5 considered? Wait, which one's the rap?
I didn't like it, but whatever.
Second one.
Is that good or
how
bad?
That guy literally came out.
Wrath of Khan is arguably is considered by many like the best Star Trek movie ever made. So
Wrath of Khan all the way.
Which one's Generations? Because I saw that briefly.
The 7th movie, if I recall correctly, which is actually one that I really don't like. As a send-off to Kirk, it's kinda insulting.
Well,
I know it was supposed to be even worse. I know. Also, Malcolm McDowell is a terrible villain.
Wait.
How is it supposed to? No, wait. I gotta ask. How is it going to be even?
Let me tell you this, Jova. It was supposed to be
shot in the back.
Yeah, without even like a last word or anything. Very anticlimactic.
Did the people who make that just hate the original series?
It's the shit out of me.
Jova, let me point out that movie is the reason why "drop the bridge on him" exists. The term.
Yeah,
I'll take Generations over Nemesis.
All right. Anyway, we're done with the chapter, and now we need to ask you back most of your attention because now we're about to face our first of the Shadow Lords, and where we start to get a couple of revelations. So,
I'll continue when this bit's done then.
Also, there is some interesting trivia regarding the first Lord of Shadows, but I will mention it when he actually shows up.
There's actually interesting trivia with all 3 Lords of Shadows in.
But I'm talking about the way he sounds.
Oh, that. Okay then.
Anyway, let's proceed to the Dark Lord of the Lycans. There you go.
Gabriel has fought long and hard to get to this point, and now he faces his stiffest challenge. The Dark Lord of the Lycans must be defeated if Gabriel.
You still won't make him stiff like the second Lord of Shadow will.
We mentioned Star Trek and Patrick Stewart in this game.
Once he discovers the truth. And yet his hatred and burning desire for
His name is
revenge
Sir
cannot
Patrick
be
Stewart.
underestimated. He has the gauntlet, and he has Gandolfi's weapon. He is a force that even the Dark Lord will struggle to deal with. Soon he will overcome this evil. Soon the world will be free of the Lords of Shadow, and plans long dreamt of will come to fruition. Go, my friend. Go and break this creature.
Thank you, Zobek. Your words really are encouraging.
Tear him in half.
Rip and tear until it's done.
Rip and tear, rip and tear.
Hey,
Also, how
I
generous
recognize
it
that.
It actually gives you plenty. It actually gives you resources before the boss fight. How kind.
That was nice of you to reference Haunted Castle, Dej.
Alright, I'll just sum up real quick then. Nemesis is just a really stupid fanfic. And it's really boring.
Still better than Insurrection.
Nah, I disagree.
Hold on.
We'll agree to disagree. Oh?
There he is.
I have come to fulfill the prophecy.
Oh no, it's...
Pay attention to the voice.
My acolytes were not lying. A warrior from the Brotherhood.
If David?
No, it's Richard Ridings. It's a famous actor who worked on plenty of interesting movies like Roger Rabbit, Jeanne d'Arc, or The Pianist. But these days he's mostly famous for voicing Peppa Pig's father. Let that sink in. Imagine every time you watch Peppa Pig, but this guy is voicing her father.
I guess you're feel satisfied that we get to kill him then.
Well, hey, look on the bright side.
But hold on, we're about to actually get important information, so pay attention.
You, alone, you dare enter my inner sanctum and dictate your petty mortal terms to me. I am immortal, little man. And your pathetic prophecy is known to me. But you are ignorant.
Daddy Pig, can we go to sleep already?
Situation.
It is you who are ignorant. Ignorant of the pain and suffering you have brought to this land.
Many centuries ago, 3 great warriors founded the World of Light, the order to which you belong. Their sole purpose was to serve God and defeat the devil. For decades, the founders fought fiercely against the spawns of Satan, and finally tipped the equilibrium in God's favor.
That's good.
Such was their commitment to the crusade.
Good.
Their studies in holy enlightenment led them to 3 sacred places.
That's fine.
Where the power of God converged with such intensity that it forged a bridge between the spiritual and the real.
That's okay.
The founders used that power to purify themselves, abandoning their human forms and transforming them into spiritual beings whose power was second only to God.
But
Good for
Tell me
them.
nothing that I did not already know, beast.
Little did they realize that what they left behind were not their carcasses devoid
that's
of
right, the Lords of
That's
Shadows
bad.
are basically King Piccolo.
the dark.
So yeah, the Free Lords of Shadows are the original founders of the Brotherhoods of Light.
Is how we came to be.
Which is a
Corrupted.
problem because
Well,
the
rather
Brotherhood
they
has
are
lived
the
for so many
bodies that they
centuries.
left behind after they ascended into heaven. And
Yeah,
all that
that's
stuff.
also a problem because the Brotherhood has survived for
Kinda messed
so
up
many
when you think
centuries
about it.
that they forgot even how they look like and what their names are.
This is the place where, according to your prophecy, a warrior of light will reclaim the power of my beloved brother in heaven, and I too will diminish. If that were to occur, he would die with me, because we are still the same being. He and I, still connected.
Well, then that's suck.
And you kill
That's quite the pickle.
kill us all, and you will kill the century founders of your own order.
Then again,
I
maybe...
can't unhear Daddy Pig. I'm sorry.
I know, right? Especially when he's giggling. It's identical. For the record, apparently he was also Evan's father in Rinokuni too. I actually forgot about that.
And he was also a character named Hunter in DMC.
Mm-hmm. And for a bit of an Easter egg, this Lord of the Lycans is called Cornell, like the main character of Legacy of Darkness. The three founding members of Brotherhood of Light were brave warriors who sacrificed their physical bodies in order to become spiritual beings, able to fight God's wrath, wars against evil. They performed a mystical ritual to transform themselves into angelic creatures. Their intentions were honorable, but they were deceived and their spirits were fractured. Their good sides were transported to heaven as angelic beings, while their dark sides were left behind.
Oh.
Cornell was the youngest of the three, but he was also the strongest. Unlike his companions, he rarely used his magic powers, preferring to fight using a great sledgehammer that nobody could wield. On that fateful night, the spirit of Cornell left his body, and all the strength and anger left behind gave birth to the lycanthropy Dark Lord.
So
To elaborate on my he was also a character in Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Light.
So technically, Tio, the Lords of Shadow are technically nobodies.
Kind of. Like I said, King Piccolo works better because it's literally it. A ritual to purify themselves and have, a role as kind of like Kami, but it's left behind the malevolence that needs to be exterred by someone else.
Someone needs to put Peppa Pig audio over.
This game is actually an anime. Also, yes, it's also Peppa Pig, an extra Peppa Pig episode.
Just over the street.
Peppa Pig is a really dark ending.
Look. Just be careful with Lucina, because apparently she's the main antagonist.
In that case, our protagonist shall be called Peppa Belmont. There you go.
That's horrible. For the record, Richard Ridings also voices a particular monster in Mirror of Fate, so it's not even the last that we hear of him in this particular trilogy. Anyway, as for the boss fight, as you can see, it's also kind of like even more challenging, kind of like the Black Knight. With the advantage, Cornell has the advantage that he has boots that allow him to dash quickly in order to potentially avoid your attack. Meaning that you always need to pay attention on what kind of attack he's executing, if it's parable or instead, you have to dodge because it's unblockable.
One thing that actually surprised me about Richard Ridings.
Go on.
Considering that most of our semi-well-known British actors are in Final Fantasy XIV, Richard Ridings hasn't been in it.
Well, maybe he'll be in the next expansion. Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know.
Unfortunately, Cornell does have an ace up his sleeve, which is basically a trick that all Lords of Shadows have. In this particular case, the entire arena is structured to actually give power, which accidentally is also a full moon night. Congratulations, Gabriel, you chose the perfect night to go against this guy.
What a horrible night to go against this guy.
Which revealed his true form as the Supreme Lycanthropy. Do we have a treat to keep him occupied? No? Okay. So here's the gist. He's technically invulnerable in this case, in this state. But so you need to do something else to make him vulnerable. But anyway, the Dark Lord of Lycanthropy is the personification of hate and violence. His werewolf form has superhuman strength and speed, far greater than even his mighty lieutenants. In addition to his natural abilities, he can also use the power of a Cyclone Boots, magical relics worn by his human counterpart. With them, he's able to jump great distances and perform powerful charge movements that can tear down most obstacles. So basically, what you need to do is to instead just, like your normal attacks can flinch him a bit, but at the same time, you will not inflict that much damage. So instead, he will use, I think, the power of the arena to heal himself, and at that point, you actually need to disrupt those columns.
Question, Tio.
Go ahead.
Do any of these bosses in this game have the Castlevania equivalent of a fuck you laser? As in like a one-hit kill thing?
Not really, but okay, if I recall correctly, actually, Kinda, a bit. In order to finish off, it's similar to God of War in a couple of fights. In order to finish off the bosses, you have to perform QTEs. But in these cases, if I recall correctly, if you fuck up, it is an actual insta-kill, potentially. Though keep in mind that the checkpoint system is actually still relatively generous, so it might, if I recall correctly, it does respawn you while the boss does have most of his health depleted. So,
Tio.
Yes?
Which is your favorite boss?
I'm honestly, of the three Lords of Shadow, I'm gonna say that all three of them are good for very different reasons. Cornell is pretty much perfect to conclude the first part of the game, especially since it's kind of like the longest and the one that serves to establish most of the stuff. But the others are no slouch either, to be honest.
Also, yeah, for those who are familiar with the name Cornell, Cornell is something of a... How to explain this? He's
There we go.
I guess we can consider him a prominent enough character from the Castlevania series. He's essentially the resident werewolf mascot of the series.
He was supposed to be, if I recall correctly, playable already in Castlevania 64, but they couldn't implement him properly, so he was recycled as the protagonist of the other 64 game.
Well, from what I've heard about that game, not implementing stuff properly, that didn't stop the rest of the game.
There we go. You need to destroy all of the columns before Cornell basically tears you into pieces, because in this stage he's actually invulnerable. But the good news is that every time you destroy a column, you actually, get to flinch him, meaning that it gives you precious time. After you're done with those, you should be able to actually finish him off. Ow. That's not very nice.
That's not a good meal to give Georgie Pig. Nothing for that matter, either.
Heard it before.
There we go. Now it's time for the finishing blow. Gabriel has an idea.
Oh no, this can only go well.
Pull the trigger, Gabriel. And there we go. That should do it.
Yeah, that should do it.
And we also get a bonus for his defeat. His Cyclone Boots.
Lovely.
If we don't destroy Gabriel's legs first, again, all these relics seem to just make him look like in a lot of pain, actually.
It's got candy in his heels.
Oof. Hi, Marie.
Make haste, my love. Reclaim the power before it is lost.
Amazingly.
Alright, let's purify this place, why not?
Thus Peppa Pig was known.
An orphan now. How depressing.
No, don't you see, Tio? This guy was the ancestor of Daddy Pig, so without him there could be no Peppa Pig.
You know, that's some top grade irony. The ancestor of a pig being a wolf.
Also, what he clearly has, is the Scottish accent he's performing for Gabriel. Robert Carlyle's Latin is surprisingly spot on, so props for that too. And we get a piece of a mask.
I thought it was a shoe.
If you remember, we got to see how this thing looks in the actual title screen. So we'll see how that pans out once we defeat it. Anyway, Cyclone Boots. A gift to Cornell. These powerful boots were forged long ago. They allowed him to travel vast distances at tremendous speed. However, after he became the Dark Lord of the Lycans, he improved upon their design, using shadow magic to turn them into a powerful weapon, enabling him to charge down his enemies with incredible speed. Basically, it's pretty much a copy, almost a copy clone of the Hermes boots from God of War 3. You need to, if you recall correctly, press R3 in order to... Oh, there you go. Sorry, you have to tap L twice in order to actually sprint, and combine that with the shadow magic, you can use that to actually attack enemies. But it's mostly used for platforming, where you need to perform a long jump, like in this case. There you go. It's not something that it goes on forever. It only allows you to get a small boost. But combining also with your attacks, it provides a good variety in combat. And again, good platforming challenges. Oh, there we go. Oh, hello.
You have gained great power, but it is not enough. You must unite the two that remain. Come with me. Our time is running out.
Hey.
Well, I know it's a different kind of bird, but for some reason, the way the bird speaks reminds me of Raven. It was a really popular children's game show back in the 2000s.
Sure.
Here in Britain. And it's quite possibly the most amazingly Scottish thing ever made, and I applaud it for that.
Anyway, one Lord Shadow defeated, 2 more to go. The next part instead will be mostly about filler, because it will be a location that Gabriel travels that he cannot proceed without defeating the local, person who's owning the place. So we have to deal with that. But after that, we'll be able to enter the territories of the second Lord of Shadow. See you for that.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.